All right, so next up, we've got our hip hinge progression. So our hip hinge progression is going to be working our posterior chain. And we've got a ton of different movements that we do in this hip hinge progression. It is a key building block for us at Viking football. So when we're doing our hip hinges, it's going to be working our hamstrings, our glutes, our low back. It's kind of our motor for a ton of athletic movements, whether I'm anywhere from a big guy, some type of lineman, to a quarterback, to a skill guy, running back, receiver, linebacker. Every single position really needs a strong posterior chain, hamstring, glutes, and low back. And this is going to be a key thing that we do, so it's important that we get this technique down. So the first thing that we're going to do is just a simple hip hinge with a dowel. Dowel is just some kind of stick. So I've got a PVC pipe. If you have a broom, a mop, anything around your house where you could use some type of stick that's going to reach from your tailbone to the back of your head. That's how long the stick needs to be. So anything that you can find around the house is going to be extremely beneficial. If you don't have anything like that, you can still do this, but maybe you want to videotape yourself, maybe try it with a partner, someone that can tell you if your spine is staying neutral. So we've got our hip hinge with a PVC pipe or any type of object you have around your house. What I want to do in this hip hinge progression is feet under my hips. So squats are outside the hips, feet are now under my hips, my toes are facing forward, and you don't really have room to play with. You don't turn your toes out, there's no need to. Feet underneath the hips, toes facing forward. From there, you don't need your chest up. I don't need to over arc myself because I'm not going to be doing anything where I've got a lot of weight on the shoulders. But I need to keep a neutral spine. To make sure I'm keeping a neutral spine, I'm going to use this stick that you have, whatever it is, to put on my back. There's going to be 3 places of contact. Your tailbone, your upper back, and the back of your head. Like I said earlier, there's a little bit of an S-curve to your spine. Not a lot, but it shouldn't be touching from your head to your neck, to your upper back, your lower back, and to your tailbone or your butt. It doesn't touch every single spot. It just touches the 3 spots. Back of your head, upper back, and tailbone. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab this. I'm going to hold it behind my neck and behind my low back. So like I said, the 3 points of contact, tailbone, upper back, and the back of your head. Hand on my low back, hand behind the neck. From here, I've got my feet facing forward, underneath my hips, and I'm going to hip hinge. When I hip hinge, I am not moving my knees. The only thing I'm going to do is make my knees soft. So when you make your knees soft, they're just able to move a little bit. So you can flex as hard as you can and relax. When you relax, you kind of give a little bit. That is having soft knees, and that's what you want for a hip hinge. When I do this, I'm going to push my butt back until I lose that curve in my spine. If at any point you lose a point of contact along this PVC pipe, whether my head is now facing forward and it's not touching, I'm overarching and it's not touching my upper back, or I start to curve my low back and it's not touching my tailbone anymore, that should be a red alert. You are not in a neutral spine position anymore. So, push your butt back, keeping those 3 points of contact. If you keep all 3 points of contact, you're doing it correctly. Push your butt back, and then explode back up. Hips back, hips forward. So one thing that you could add to this first progression of just doing a basic hip hinge, hopefully with some kind of PVC pipe or some kind of broomstick or anything that you could put along your spine, is you want something to reach your butt towards. So if you have a wall, if you have anywhere that you could find where you're going to reach your butt back to try to touch something, that is going to help you correct your hip hinge movement. So I'm going to set this PVC pipe up. I got it on my tailbone, my upper back, and the back of my head. I'm going to reach my butt back for this safety bar. If you have a wall that you could reach back for, anything that you have a target for will work. So I'm going to try to reach for this safety bar. What I want to do is push myself about 6 inches away from the wall or whatever it is, the target that you're trying to touch. From there, my 3 points of contact, tailbone, upper back, and back of the head. Soft knees, toes are facing forward, underneath the hips, and hinge. I've touched the object, so I'm going to come back up. That is very easy for me because I've been doing this. If that is difficult for you, stay there about 6 inches away. I'm going to move a couple inches forward and continue to try to hip hinge and touch that object. Push butt back. I've touched. You can see my lower legs, my shins are vertical. At no point am I going to squat. You can see if you start to push your knees forward in your hip hinge, that is a squat, not a hip hinge. You do not want your knees going forward. You want those shins vertical. So again, I'm going to reach back for that target, keeping 3 points of contact. Good. I can go a little bit farther forward, try to challenge myself, and reaching back, reaching back, reaching back, keeping 3 points of contact. Good.